This is the Frat House Sports Show. And now for this week's completely different and humorous perspective on everything sports, here's Frat House Mike and Sidekick.
Alrighty, well, here we go. From the Frat House, from Frat House Sports, our final show of April 2014. Hard to believe that we are already here. Next week, we'll be coming back in here in May. Hard to believe, huh?
I heard we're going to get to the 40s next week.
40 temperature range? Yeah, would be nice, wouldn't it, huh? My goodness. Yeah, got Sidekick here. We got Uncle Mark joining us via Skype as usual. You might notice that I'm, well, displaying the colors tonight. I don't normally do that. And there's a reason why I normally don't. But, well, being the Flyers fan that I am, I just kind of felt that the way things are going between them and the New York Rangers, I thought, well, I better pull it out and put it on tonight because, well,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not sure. But, well, we'll be doing a lot of NHL chat as we get going into the show. But what do you say we jump over and take a look at our top stories as we started off? And let's kick it off with... well, we could start with a team that's winning, but I thought it'd be interesting if we started off with a team that just was absolutely deplorable this year in the NBA. How about the Philadelphia 76ers, who managed to grab themselves a 19-63 record for the second worst record in the entire NBA. Yes, there you go. Now, along the way to their 23% winning percentage season, the Sixers managed to also secure themselves a league-tying 26-game record losing streak. So last weekend,
I think you just became my personal hero.
ESPN posted up an article that was titled "Sixers Owner Puts Season in Context." And having had to deal with this absolutely horrible team all season long, I really had to get right into this and see what Joshua Harris had to say about and how he was putting this all into context. Well, here it is in the article. Harris was quoted as saying, "I think the season has been a huge success for us. Huge success. We don't want to be 41-41. We don't want to be one and done. We want this team, this city, to be proud of the Sixers. We want to be proud of the Sixers." Well, you know, Joshua Harris, I don't know how he figures he's speaking for the fan base, and frankly, I got to take some exception to it. We don't want to be 41-41. I think the fans probably would have preferred had the team been 41-41. No, that's not going to get you into the playoffs, but it would have been a whole hell of a lot better than 19-63. And for you to stand up there and say that this season has been a huge success is absolutely atrocious. From the very beginning of the season, the rumors had been that the Sixers had every intention of tanking the season in an effort to secure one of the top 5 draft picks in the upcoming selection in order to complement their 2013 additions of Nerlens Noel and Michael Carter-Williams. However, in the exact same article, Harris stated the other day, we don't use that word, referring to tanking. And the new NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, stated 5 weeks ago, coaches and players, or some subset of that group, trying to lose. I don't think that's going on anywhere in the NBA. Really, these are his words. It's not going on anywhere in the NBA. And I would take action immediately if I thought it was. It is truly mind-boggling to me that intelligent adults and responsible league administrators would attempt to portray such a blatantly see-through initiative in denial. I find Joshua Harris's huge success comments not only ludicrous and sadly laughable, I find it worse, insulting to the Philadelphia fan base and particularly the average, yes, are you ready, 14,000 people that went down and showed up for the 41 home games. They actually were able to secure 14,000 people on average to those games. And for all of us to just simply sit back and allow Harris to make comments like that, I think would just make us complicit in his whole ruse. This whole thing has been a disgrace, and for Harris to make such a statement as that, I think is absolutely outrageous. What if one of your...
I don't see where the problem is. I don't understand why you're getting your dander all up. This season was a huge success. They were expected to tank the season. They got 19 wins. Come on. That's a huge success.
Okay, seriously, I got to ask you a question, though. If one of your St. Louis teams and one of your coaches came out and made a statement like this after going through what this team just did, where it was evident that what they were doing was purposely losing, what would your reaction be?
They could pack their bags and head to L.A.
All right.
You know where I'm going with this.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
1 win, 2 win, 3 win seasons. Yeah. You know where I'm going with that.
All right. Well, that's my say on the 76ers, and we won't bring them up again until, well, I don't know, maybe draft time at the end of May. What do you say we flip our, let's do a little bat flipping, and we'll switch it up over to a little bit of baseball news from our friends, well, your friends down there in D.C., at the Washington Nationals. Incredibly, 21-year-old outfielder Bryce Harper, well, he's now in his 3rd season. Yeah, it's hard to believe already, isn't it?
This season, your head ain't made of straw, you know.
This season, though, well, a little bit different. Harper's dealing with a little bit different situation, the first of which is, well, he's got a new manager, all right? He's got Matt Williams sitting over there right now. Matt Williams, 17-year, no-nonsense veteran third baseman, who, well, he had himself a reputation when he played the game for pretty much giving 110% on the field. So it was no surprise when Williams sat Harper down last weekend after he kind of nonchalanted his trot to first base following a weak ground ball in a 4-3 loss to the Cardinals. Williams actually came out, media-wise, unabashed in his pointing out Harper, and stated outright, we made an agreement. He and I made an agreement. All right, this team made an agreement that when we play the game, that we hustle at all times, that we play the game with intensity and the willingness to win. So you would think, well, that woke Harper up, huh? That broke him up, right? Well, hey, not so fast. Tuesday night, just past week, Tuesday night, in a game against the LA Angels, where the sidebar story was the head-to-head of Harper versus Mike Trout. Harper could clearly be seen casually jogging down the first base line in the 4th inning following a weak ground ball to the second baseman. Needless to say, while the debates continue to rage among fans as to who's the better phenom, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout, well, now you can add in the quality, who brings the most hustle.
Well, so what you're saying is that, Harper's plays a little lackluster, like that gray monstrosity that they call Nationals Park.
The park. Yeah,
that drab gray.
Yeah, it lacks some hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that home of theirs just lacks a little.
Yeah.
You really piss me off.
What do you say? I don't know. It must be the night for NBA. We're going to flip it back over to the courts. How about that one just for a moment? But I had to touch on this one because it's one of my favorites. You can see it, you can feel it, you can smell it. It's coming. The New York Knicks, absolutely positively, if they haven't already, they are going to supplant the LA Lakers in dysfunctionality. You know it's coming. It was just a mere 5 weeks ago that the Knicks owner, well, he welcomed the Zen master, Phil Jackson, in an outright love fest before the media. Jackson was announced as the team's new president. This past Monday, Jackson put his stamp on the team, making the move that everyone kind of expected was coming when he fired head coach Mike Woodson. Not only Mike Woodson, but how about his entire staff? Not dissimilarly to what Phil Jackson did when he took over the LA Lakers. However, that was on Monday. The very next day, reports began leaking out that there was, a bit of a disagreement between Knicks owner James Dolan and Jackson. Jackson apparently wanted to do a little more far-reaching housekeeping, but Dolan, who stated publicly 5 weeks ago that Jackson was in complete control of the team, Well, he apparently blocked a few of the personnel moves that Jackson wanted to take place.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say full control?
Yeah, exactly. According to a Yahoo Sports article, according to the source, Dolan's reaction to Jackson's request was to tell the 11-time NBA championship coach to simply focus his attention on building a winning team. Wow, that sounds like it was real friendly. Well, there you have it. I guess the honeymoon is over. When asked about the potential conflict just yesterday, Jackson, well, he didn't dismiss the report, but he did go on to say, and somebody tell me, did he really say anything here? I like to know that the people who are here want to buy in and they want to be part of it and throw their entire being into what we're trying to do. If they have a brand or stamp on them that puts them as Phil Jackson's guy or whatever, that's not important. It's important that we join forces and minds and work together.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
I got to tell you, I think I've heard Kobe Bryant and Mike D'Antoni make similar kinds of remarks. Yeah. Okay. There's our big stories for this week. We are at the end of April, which means we, believe it or not, are already about a month into Major League Baseball. That's hard to believe. Well, and that means we want to get into our short Major League Baseball segment, and that is brought to us this evening by our friends Carl and Jim over at CLW83, CLW83.com. Make sure you get over there and check them out. I think they've got some new podcasts coming. I know Jim's in planning for, I think, a new one that'll be being taped tomorrow evening, so you'll be able to catch that over on CLW83 coming up in the next couple of days. And we'll start it off with just a few, how about Screwy Stories, huh?
It's time again for Frat House Mike's Screwball Stories.
Alrighty, yes. Last Friday night, Milwaukee Brewers catcher Martin Maldonado, well, he smacked a sixth-inning fastball from Pirates pitcher Charlie Morton down the third base line. Third baseman Pedro Alvarez, well, he charged the ball, gobbled it up, and fired it over to the first baseman, except the ball barely made it halfway across the infield before it dropped awkwardly to the ground. Now, upon closer inspection by the infield officials, it seems that Maldonado literally hit the cover off the ball.
As I understand it, they had to go to instant replay to get that. They weren't quite sure. They had to go back to the instant replay on that.
Did somebody we challenge that one?
Yeah.
Amazingly, we got the, we hear the trite cliche all the time that, well, you hit the cover off the ball. Well, whoever thought that we would actually see it happen? How about that? Maldonado's new nickname now at this point, I think they're calling him Roy Hobbs at this point. All right. 80-year-old Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, served as the Milwaukee Brewers play-by-play radio announcer since 1971. Over the years, the Brewers have inducted Uecker into their Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, and have honored him with a bronze statue outside Brewers Miller Park, along with the likes of Robin Yount and Hank Aaron. On Friday, this week, tomorrow, the Brewers will roll out a second statue of Uecker. This one of him sitting in a stadium seat in section 422, and is a reference to his famous "I must be in the front row" 1970s TV commercials.
Yep, it's going in there right next to the Ryan Braun bronzed steroid needle.
There you go. There you go. Now I'd like to get a picture with that one. How about that?
Road trip.
Listen, there you go, road trip. Don't get me wrong. Uecker is a tremendous personality and a really, really very, very funny guy. But I got to ask the question, is he deserving really of not one, but two statues? All right. Uecker played exactly 6 seasons for 4 different teams and appeared in only 297 games. He never played for the Brewers, but did spend 2 seasons and 46 games. 2 seasons, 46 games with the Milwaukee Braves. He ended his career with 146 hits, 14 home runs, 74 RBIs, and a 200 batting average. Let's give him 2 statues.
Sure.
Last but not least, it seems, Philadelphia Eagles head coach Chip Kelly's nouveau sports science. You know, we've heard so much about the sports science thing, you know, the smoothies, the food, the nutrition.
The sleep monitors.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, it's had a ripple effect into other sports, like the Boston Red Sox. On Tuesday, Red Sox manager John Farrell discussed on a sports talk radio station the team's investment in a sleep study facility used by the players. Quote, "We've done a number of sleep studies, and as the game has evolved, and without PEDs, and the ability to find some energy in an artificial way, we're looking at every possible way through nutrition, through sleep. So we built the sleep study room here, and that's where they stayed. We have guys who use it during the middle of the afternoon for a short nap. Again, this is all part of research that we've done here to try to help maintain a certain level of energy and just physical well-being that we can."
Who does that?
And this season's slogan will be hashtag Boston napping.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah.
I like that. Yes,
Who's crossing the finish line first, and how do you know?
Quick, trademark that.
I like that. Yeah, we're going to put that up.
Get Johnny Manziel's guys on that.
All right. There's our Screwy Stories for this week. Brought to you by CLW83.com. Make sure you check out their website and check out all their programming. Okay. Well, let's get into a little NHL frozen pond talk. Because, as you pointed out, it still feels like, you know, it's more than cold enough to keep the ponds frozen. How about that? First round of the NHL playoffs right now are in full swing. I don't think we've missed a single game of it here at the Frat House and at Frat House Sports. And so what that means is we got to bring Uncle Mark in with our hat trick segment. And Uncle Mark, we're going to be looking at momentarily here. We're going to take a look at the Eastern Conference rounds and where things stand at this point. 4 games going on in the Eastern Conference, and there's a couple of them that kind of jumped out at me as we take a look at that standing right now. A couple of them jumped out at me. First of all, we have the Canadiens winning their series 4-0. Yeah. And I guess my question for you regarding that one, did you see that one coming? I kind of didn't. I thought the Lightning would give them at least a fight for a game or two. Sweeping? Are the Canadiens that good?
Oh, that's really the mystery here. Montreal swept an opponent for the first time since sweeping the Buffalo Sabres going back to 1993 in the division finals. So it's been a long time that Montreal's been away from a sweep and winning like that. What we learned about this entire series, especially ending so early, was the netminder for Tampa Bay, their starter Ben Bishop, while he skated at Tuesday morning's skate, he knew he wasn't going to be able to return with that lagging elbow injury. Without him, the Lightning never had a chance in this series. His replacement, the young kid Anders Lindback, tried the best he could, did not put up the numbers. It was a game of speed. It was a game that was mismatched for Tampa. From the beginning, I believe.
Real quick question on this. The Canadiens have had a long time off now. Obviously, they'll go up and they'll play the winner of the Detroit-Pittsburgh series. Is this going to, looking at the way Canadiens just took care of Tampa Bay, one would think, well, okay, all that time off, that won't be a problem at all. But what do you think? Is that going to be a detriment, or is that going to be will that be a plus for them?
No, I think this is absolutely a plus. Montreal is riding a high, as you can well imagine, coming off of this sweep, and they're loving it. Now, it's really difficult to evaluate how much of a threat they're going to be to the likelihood of facing in the second round, the Boston Bruins. If they play Detroit, if they play Boston, both of those clubs are as physical as they're going to see up to this point, because they really took it to Tampa Bay with speed and skill. Is it going to hurt them? No, I don't believe so. And you have to remember, the longer that other series goes, the more tired those guys are by the time they meet up.
Yeah, good point. Good point. The other one that jumps out at me, of course, we saw the Columbus Blue Jackets last night tie the series now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. That series is tied up at 2 each. Columbus doing it in overtime last evening. And you got to look at them. And I put the comment up on our Facebook page last night, and it got hundreds of views. You got to look at Columbus kind of as the Cinderella team, and one that it's kind of tough not to root for them, huh?
Oh, this is so much fun, and it's so much fun for so many reasons. I mean, Pittsburgh is a team, I have to admit, is easy to hate on. And so here comes this underdog Cinderella team, and what's great about this, 2 names, it was basically Dubinsky and it was Foligno, a couple of nobodies that really were heroes for the Blue Jackets. And they had to overcome a tremendous deficit to get that first home victory in their franchise history. The defeat left the Penguins basically stunned. That's what's great about it, because the Blue Jackets were down 3-0, and it looked like after about halfway through the first period that this game was over. But what happened? Pittsburgh kind of laid back, and unfortunately, a goaltender named Fleury happened to allow a third goal for Columbus to get back in this thing. The fight is not over with that team. Believe it. This is a lot of fun. This series.
Interestingly, I remember that Jeremy Roenick made the comment. I guess it was on NBC. Just as this series was getting underway in Game 1, and he made the comment that he wouldn't want to be any team having to play Columbus. And that's just, it's kind of one of those sorts of situations. Could Pittsburgh be shocked by this? I mean, could you're saying, it kind of took the wind out of their sails losing that game last night. Could Columbus win this thing?
Well, Columbus stands a very good chance, obviously, in Game 4 to, possibly split this series and, go back to Pittsburgh even up. A couple of things that jump out at me right now. The likely NHL MVP Crosby has not scored a goal in the last 9 playoff games, and his partner in crime, Evgeny Malkin, hasn't found the net in the last 8 games. Those 2 guys, you take them out of the mix, and you have a Fleury who's having a bit of a brain fart. And they could drop another couple games to this Columbus team. They're taking them maybe a little too lightly. And right now, I think they're starting to, Pittsburgh, grip their sticks a little harder.
Yep, absolutely. Real quick, before we jump off the East, and I'm just going to touch on it real briefly. I wasn't actually going to, but we're going to see the Flyers and the Rangers go back at it tomorrow night in Game 4. This will be the second game for the Flyers at home, and right now they are down 2-1. This looks to me like a Rangers series, unless something dramatic changes. What's your read on this one?
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, listen, we Philly fans, we probably prefer to hate on Dan Carcillo, but Claude Giroux tweeted out his, quote, guarantee of a Flyers win in Game 4. I'll tell you what, considering he has been more or less invisible through this series, it kind of begs the assumption that he's going to even show up either to collect or pay out on his guarantee. Mason's the man, but for Game 4, if Mason isn't solid and if Philly can't solve the shot blocking, this series is more than likely over. And the odds, really, of the Philadelphia winning 3 games in a row are slim to none.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's go take a look at the Western Conference situation and where the series stand up at this point. And I got to be honest, we had 2, I guess it was that occurred last night, that kind of surprised me, that makes this board look the way it does. because I really thought we would be looking at a lot of 3-1 series, but instead we're looking at a lot of 2-2 series. Let's start it off, though, with the Kings and the San Jose Sharks. That series right now at 3-0 in favor of the Sharks. A little bit surprised here am I, simply because I kind of thought that the Kings would come out, maybe not be quite the type of team that they had been in previous seasons, but would capitalize on that experience they've had in postseason from previous years. But right now, it's certainly not looking that way. They're down 3-0. San Jose could wrap this thing up this evening. Do we see a sweep tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of the folks are going to be filling into that stadium carrying brooms, and there's no two ways around it. San Jose believes they are the team in the West that you have to beat, and they have Stanley Cup playoff implications. They believe in their own hands. You know, Los Angeles, they had been 10-0-1 in their last meetings against San Jose over the last 3 years. Twice the Kings took the lead in the last game. Twice the Sharks rallied to tie it before that final overtime that beat Jonathan Quick, and that ended it. The Sharks are physical, they're deep, they're relentless, they appear hungry after years of just playoff disappointment. They've unsettled Los Angeles, the regular season's best defensive team, with 17 goals and 10 different goal scorers in the series, first 3 games alone. I'll tell you what, this team is very, very dominant. I predict, get your broom.
Wow, how about that? Dallas Stars right now and the Anaheim Ducks. Dallas tied that series up last night, 2-2. And that's one of the series that I was referring to before. I kind of thought was going to go 3-1. But here we are. We're definitely looking at a Game 6, no doubt about that, in this particular series. What's your read on this? Are the Stars... it just seems to me the Ducks are a better team, huh?
On paper, absolutely, but the stars are starting to align, and that's no doubt. I'll tell you what, you just have to look at this game for exactly what it was, okay? Dallas wins a game 4-2, and despite taking an early lead, the Ducks allow 4 unanswered goals for Dallas, and that's going to be the answer right there. It was all second period. In the first period, it looked like the Ducks really had mustered enough, because they're without a couple key guys. Of course, Stefan Robidas is out with a broken leg, but Ryan Getzlaf, Timo Solani, they didn't suit up. Yeah. And despite that, the Ducks, after one period, are up 2-0, and it looks like, okay, they're on a roll. There's no stopping them. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. Jamie Benn skated top shelf all at once. The ice tilted. And just like that, the Stars took the period over. Yep. Absolutely. And, you know, I guess the ugliest part about it, really, the Ducks really spent the rest of the period and much of the third just trying to defend their own end. This is not how they are used to playing. This is another team, sort of like Pittsburgh, got snake bit by a group maybe that they didn't give a whole lot of credit to.
Absolutely. Finally, in that Western Conference, Blackhawks Blues. Would it be safe to say this is probably the best series going on right now in the entire league? Maybe with the exception of the Blue Jackets and Penguins. But this Blackhawks Blues series has just gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it went back and forth again last night with Chicago winning that one in overtime and tying that series 2-2. Best series or what?
That's what I'm talking about.
Best series without a doubt. Third overtime tilt in what is fast becoming, I think, a series that you're going to remember maybe next year, maybe a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Home ice seems to matter in this series, unlike others also, because obviously we've seen the teams in colors are winning the games. They're going to the other barn for 2 more, and the other team's winning. This has been a test of Crawford versus Miller. That's the show. There's a great deal of hate between these two, but you know, the longer this series goes, there's also the greater amount of respect that seems to be earned between them as well.
Yeah, no.
No. Respect. You know, the Blues are still without
your part.
Blues are still without their captain. And, more recently, it was announced that they're not going to have Brendan Morrow for the rest of the season as well. So, Tarasenko for the Blues, he had a couple of goals. Miller finished, reasonably strong with 30 stops. But it's Patrick Kane. It's Jonathan Taves. It's Corey Crawford on the other side. This is a great series. These guys are going toe-to-toe. I love it.
Now, 7 games, Mark?
I'm going 7 games. I'm pulling for this, this guy behind me right here in St. Louis.
Mark and I were talking pre-show, and I said I wouldn't doubt the 7th game goes to an overtime.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of series it is. Absolutely.
And Sidekick and I were saying, how many periods they've already put together? About games, 6 periods worth of hockey already.
Six periods of overtime in 4 games. And now my question to you, Mark, is, whichever team advances out of this series, are they done?
Just because of the energy spent.
Because if you go 7 games, there's going to be, out of the next 3 games, there's going to be overtime games. Does either team have anything left for the next series?
Right.
Because 7 games gives you no rest, really.
Well, that's the problem. You're going to come back with a very, very short startup time. And you're right, man. I mean, one of the stats, for an average, right now San Jose and LA are like leading all teams with 312 hits over their 3 games. I'll tell you what, this is probably second closest. And, you're right. That's the thing. This is such a bruising out of the gate matchup that the deeper you go into the playoffs, your only concern is going to be wheels and stamina.
Yep. What do you, 6 or 7? You think it's going 7?
I think it's going 7 with an overtime.
Yeah, well, how about that? Has the NHL done a better job, Uncle Mark, with this new playoff alignment by allowing those, as we're seeing, rivalries like you've got with Chicago and the Blues? We haven't seen this kind of thing in many years in some cases. The Flyers playing the Rangers, I don't think that's happened since sometime in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
So have they done a better job in this?
Well, obviously they have. The only disappointment is you're seeing some heavy, some heavyweights, as in these 2 teams, going at it right out of the gate rather than having either one or both of them, at least advance around into it and then maybe square off.
Right.
But at the same time, it's made, I think, for very, very exciting hockey.
Yep.
And the overtime games, unlike years past, have not been, even though they're long in period length, they aren't taking 5 hours to complete. You're seeing it's a faster paced game. So the product at playoff time, I think, this year has been really, really good.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Any other real quick final observations with regard to the NHL?
Well, the only other game out there, you got the Wild and Minnesota, which I'm kind of following that too. They finally, the Wild, they finally got themselves out of a hole. They actually shut out Colorado. That's really great news there. Ilya Bryzgalov was trying to hold down the pipes for Minnesota, and it didn't work out so well. They brought in Darcy Kemper, and all at once he started. And on the other side, of course, great goaltender Varlamov. He made quietly another 45 saves for the Avalanche, and that was a 1-0 finish. That series too is just a drag down, smash out. That's fun to watch till the end. No sweep there. Yep. No sweep there. So props to Minnesota.
All right. There you have it. And again, we'll be coming right back at it next week. By this time next week, we'll probably be into the 2nd round for sure.
Ought to be fun. Fun.
You're not kidding. We got some good games coming up tonight. We got 3 games tonight. Mm-hmm. So we'll be checking those out, as you can bet. All right. How about a little racing action? We haven't done racing in 2 weeks. No race last week because of the Easter holiday. So we've got a race though this week, 8th race of the season, and our racing segment this week is brought to you by our good friends down in Baltimore and the Maryland region at Herb FM Sports Radio. HerbFM.com. Make sure you get out there and check them out as well. Catch our replays of this program Saturday afternoons, and then frequently during the course of the week, I try to post it up on our Facebook page, let you know in advance when it's coming. So at least a couple nights a week, we get rebroadcast over there. So make sure you're checking that out. As I pointed out, though, we've had 8 races in the books. We got our 9th race coming actually this week. 8th race 2 weeks ago was out at Darlington Raceway. And real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it was a couple of weeks ago, but we'll just run through what the results were there. Kevin Harvick became the first 2-time winner of the season and placed himself clearly at the top of the leaderboard under the new point standing system, which we'll be taking a look at in a moment. Top 5 at Darlington included Harvick, as I pointed out. Dale Jr. came in second. Again, another top 5 for him. Jimmy Johnson came in third. He started 26th. Typical Johnson coming from the back to get into the top 5.
It's
Matt
awesome.
Kenseth
How
came
far
in
you've
fourth.
come.
He started 25th. And Greg Biffle came in 5th. All right. And as we promised 2 weeks ago, and as I took some time to do, we have updated the leaderboard to properly reflect. If you went to NASCAR.com right now, you will not see it this way. They're still just simply showing the total number of points. But as we discussed, it doesn't seem quite right based upon the way the new system is configured, that the number 1 criteria will be the number of wins. Then we will be taking a look at points. So taking a look at it from this point forward, we will be illustrating our top 5 leaderboard exactly this way, where you've got Harvick up at the top simply because of those 2 wins, but then falling in order there after the fact with 1 win each, and then the points diminishing from the top down. Edwards, Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, and Brad Keselowski right now in the top 5.
Being the forward-thinking trendsetters that we are.
Absolutely we are. You got it. That's exactly right. And as I just pointed out, we got week 9 coming up from Richmond International Raceway. Saturday night racing.
Yes.
I'd like to say that's different, but it feels like we've had so many Saturday night races, or at least nighttime races this season, that it's really not all that novel, I guess, this season. But yeah, Saturday night racing, 7 o'clock, you can catch the action on Fox. All right? And, well, that means we haven't heard them in a couple of weeks. We need your fantasy picks.
Beginning to think I'd been forgotten.
No. It wouldn't be the right show without that. We got to have those.
All right, so
I look forward to this.
as Mikey said, this weekend we're going to go to Richmond International Raceway for racing on Saturday night. It's a three-quarter mile track that features the chaos of a short track with the beating and the banging and everything going on, but the speeds of a speedway with speeds averaging 130 miles an hour. All that, plus it's under the lights. This is like NASCAR Nirvana, okay? Richmond is a great track. So, having said that, let's get to the picks.
Let's hear them.
So, number 1 on the list, we're going to go with our 2-time winner, Kevin Harvick. He's 26.75. Excuse me. So far this season, he leads all drivers in laps led and fastest laps run this year, which are 2 of our scoring categories for fantasy. Plus, he won this event last year.
Okay.
So that's why he's up there. Second on the roster, we're going with Joey Logano. Joey's been tearing up short tracks this year. Haven't seen him get a win yet.
Right.
But, there for a while in the beginning of the season, we were, it was Brad Keselowski on the pole, Joey second.
Right.
And then Joey on the pole and Brad second. So he's been really good on the short tracks.
Right.
This may be the week that he finally gets that win.
I'm an excellent driver.
And then, of course, you can't go to a Virginia track and not put Denny Hamlin on your roster. I mean, he's 23-25, and like I said, now this season hasn't been that good for him so far. It's been a little bit off, but he's kind of like a sleeper pick, and that. But like I said, it's Richmond. You have to put them on your roster.
Okay.
And we're going to go with A.J. Allmendinger, 1750. It's nearly a lock that the Dinger is going to get you a top 15 finish this weekend. And then my lucky dog, it's no surprise, he's been my lucky dog for weeks now. Reed Sorensen at 675. I'm sorry, still the best value in the game at 675.
Yep.
So,
yeah, how is it his number keeps staying that low? Everybody else is, and we've talked about this, the value of these drivers.
He has had 2 bad weeks.
Okay.
So, and I think that may have.
But as you point out, his fantasy numbers are quite good.
Oh, yeah. He's double anybody around him.
Yeah.
He's got more points than Danica. Danica's almost, twice as much as he is. So, hey, ride that horse till it breaks, man.
Alrighty. There's our racing chat, and we'll have more next week. We will have more of that. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. We'll get to that. We'll be bringing more racing chat next week when we get past race 9. Real quick, before we jump out of it, though, we got to take a look at, I forgot because it has been 2 weeks, but there's our fantasy, top 10. All right, there's 25 in the league, top 10 leaderboard right now in our Frat House Sports.
Yep.
Fantasy.
Look, I rebounded nicely.
And our fantasy team is up there in 2nd place. All right, I'm holding tight at 5th. You've moved up to 6th.
Yep.
And our technical director Brandon's up there to 9th.
Yep.
So we will keep bringing that to you as well. All right. And like I said, we'll be bringing back results a little more extensively next week. Following our race there at Richmond. But many, many thanks again to our friend Chris and company down there at Herb FM Sports Radio, herbfm.com. Thank you guys, and we appreciate it bringing our NASCAR segment. Okay, UFC 172, right?
Yep,
Big
UFC 172. After you get done watching the Richmond race, you can flip over to pay-per-view and you can catch, excuse me, UFC 172 from Baltimore, Maryland, with the main event being the light heavyweight championship contested between the champ, John Bones Jones, who's 19-1-0, versus Glover Teixeira, who is 22-2-0 and is on a 20-fight win streak, the longest in UFC. Mm-hmm. So, and while we're actually, real quick plug, while we're talking about our friends over there at Herb FM, on Thursdays at 9 o'clock, you can listen to their MMA program, That's MMA Unchecked.
That's right.
So if you're, hopefully at some point we'll be able to get those guys on. So when we do our little UFC chat, we can actually,
That's a good point. That's a great idea, too. And you're right. I'm sure that this being in Baltimore this week, they're probably burning it up.
I'm sure they're loving this.
Yeah, they're absolutely.
I mean, with it, it's close. I wish I could go down.
Yeah, really. Baltimore's not that far.
Get down there and see it, because I would like to get a UFC live.
That's the big fight on the card.
That's the main fight on the card.
All right.
And there's a couple others in the prelims. There's a women's MMA match that it's kind of hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
With the UFC now having a women's division and looking to expand maybe to some other weights, women classes and stuff. So,
all right,
good stuff.
All right, there you have it. There's a little MMA action for you. And before we jump out of here, let's go take a look at our Frat House Sports Facebook post of the week. And just to show you that we're not all serious here at Frat House Sports. I mean, frequently we do have some very humorous posts up there particularly on our Facebook page. The post that got the most views and the most activity, most shares,
funny ideas about fun.
was a funny video that I did come up across, and I just randomly came across it, of a guy on a street corner who pulls out a kiddie wading pool and kind of does a pantomime of professional swimming in the wading pool. It's very, very amusing. It got hundreds and hundreds of views, and there's no wonder, because it was quite amusing. And you can check this out, and you can check out all of our posts, but you got to go to our Facebook page, Frat House Sports. Give us a like. Get your friends to do it as well, and then you can participate in all the fun and check out all the fun stuff and serious stuff that we put up there every single day. All right. Also, don't forget to be checking out our website, FratHouseSports.net. Make sure you get over there and check that out. Constantly putting up new content there, and we'll be getting some new stuff up there shortly as things continue to move forward. All right, so FratHouseSports.net, check that out. All right, there you have it. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And we will be back here with you next week, beginning of May. Enjoy the hockey, enjoy all the sports, all the stuff going on, a little bit of baseball, whatever you're into. All right? One more thing you got to do for us, though. You know what it is? You got to keep us real. You got to keep us live. You got to keep us going. We'll see you next week. So we're going to start it off with Martin Maldonado, who, yes, literally knocked the cover off the ball.
It looks like bad craftsmanship to me.
It probably was, because it wasn't that hard a hit. It was a third base blooper that went down the field, down the line to the third baseman. But what really was funny was watching the third baseman try to throw the damn thing from third base to first.
Like that? Yeah.
Yes, and the thing just went boom.
So he didn't get him out.
No.
Decent exposure.